Welcome to our playground.
Recess the podcast is an eclectic show of organic discussion, imagination, deep conversations, interviews, creativity, intuition, high vibrations, and fun.
Be informed, energized, inspired, and entertained with me, Jamie.
And me, Brian. Ready or not, here we come.
Because we all need to take a break. Hey, everybody. I'm Jamie Dawn with my co-host,
G. Brian Benson.
This is our first episode of Recess. I'm excited.
Me too. My gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been brainstorming about this for quite a while now, and we've done some stuff in the past, and I've always enjoyed working with you, and I'm ready to have a lot of fun, and you know, we're both curious, and this is going to be a really cool thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And this happens to be 2023, August of 2023 that we're recording this. And we're coming off of this new norm with COVID. And, you know, the last few years have been heavy and people taking things so seriously, myself included. And so, yeah, we've been workshopping this for a while of like, we need to play more. We need to give ourselves a break. It's just, you know, we're back in the grind. People are being forced back to offices and, you know, and there's this new routine that needs to be set up. And I really love that about this podcast where people can come and just go, let me check out and be entertained and maybe learn something new or whatever, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You know, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of things. We're going to have guests on that, some you all know about. They're going to be famous and they're going to be really, you know, successful in their own right. But we might have a discussion about something completely different than what they're involved in. You know, it's just going to be, like I said before, just eclectic discussion, inspiration, intuition.
You may not know what you're going to get with us.
Well, that's kind of what we want, you know, just that keep y'all guessing, and
Exactly.
for sure. And, you know, and laughing and just feeling good. And, you know, it's going to be high vibrational no matter what we talk about and cover.
And I might be irreverent now and again because I can't help myself.
What does that mean? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
$2 word.
The irreverent. I'm going to keep people guessing. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, you know, for our first episode, we kind of thought that we would like to introduce ourselves to you a little bit and get help you understand who we are and kind of what we're about and what we've done, maybe where we're headed. And so instead of us is like, oh, I'm G. Brian Benson, blah, 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 blah. We thought we'd interview each other a little bit in kind of a fun way. And right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll learn something I don't know about you yet.
Well, I might too, you know, you just never know. When I don't know what questions are coming, it's just like, okay, that's interesting. Well, let's see. Let's dive deep, Brian. What does that mean to you?
How long have we known each other? It's probably been 8 years.
8 years? Wow, maybe. Yeah, at least. Gosh, yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. 7, 8 years.
Oh, pick one. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, okay.
Excellent.
We're not double figures yet. We're close. Yeah.
How old are you? I'm free.
Yeah, well, yeah, I definitely don't act my age, but in a sure way. But yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other for quite some time. So yeah. And when we first met, it was through radio.
It was. Yeah, I think I was a guest on a show that you did, and I don't remember what it was called at the time, but
it was a very well thought out name, The Jamie Dawn Show.
Hey, you left nothing to chance, and there's no mystery there, and
there was no question mark about what show I was supposed to be on. If I wasn't on the show called Jamie Dawn, I was on the wrong one.
Yeah,
but it was fun. God. And you had just come out with Habits for Success at that time.
Wow. So, well.
Oh, we got to count.
It's been like 5.5 years then.
All school teachers run away. We're using our fingers.
Yeah, I know. I'm counting on my hands. Oh, let me go get my abacus.
I get a calculator.
Or a calculator. Yeah, I'm old school though. Really old school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's been maybe 5.5, 6 years because that came out at the very end of 2018.
Okay. Well, there we go. So, And math is not one of my strong suits. So I'm just telling you right now, I'll make
I can
shit up all
add,
day long.
well, I know it's weird. I can like do numbers in my head really well and kind of add and such, but throwing algebra or geometry or anything like that, forget about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
No thanks. Maybe you guess we'll have is some great scientists that can give us all kinds of algorithm stuff that I have no idea.
I
But
might need
anyway,
an interpreter.
exactly. Yeah, how would you describe yourself?
That's a great question. I'm curious. I've always tried to be the best version of myself. Um, I've stepped out of my comfort zone a lot, in a lot of different ways, and followed my intuition, even maybe before I realized I was following my intuition. Like when I got into triathlons and stuff, it just felt like all systems go when I did it. And in a lot of ways, it just gave me a lot of confidence and kind of a purpose at that time. And in some ways, I think it, without getting too serious, and we'll probably talk about some of this stuff later, I think it was a way that I was able to validate my own worthiness. And but yeah, I love to learn. I love to keep trying to grow. I love to inspire others to kind of do the same thing, and I think all of my work, whether it's a book or a spoken word piece or a short film, or the TEDx presentation I did, I think I just want to kind of just let everybody, everybody else permission to, just step in out of their comfort zone in their own way, whatever that means, and just don't be afraid to kind of push your envelope a little bit and see what's there. Because speaking for myself, it just kept opening doors that I had no idea were there, and brought me helped me unleash a bunch of gifts that were inside of me that I didn't know were there. So yeah, that's, in a nutshell, that's who I am.
I'm always fascinated when someone asks that question, describe yourself or tell us more about yourself.
I
And
know.
and we default to, many times, you didn't necessarily do this, but we default to what do we do, you know?
Yeah.
And you didn't necessarily do that. You went to being creative and curious, and those are qualities that you have, but it's not necessarily what you do. It's just part of you. So I thought that's pretty fascinating.
Thank you. But it's interesting though, because those qualities kind of make me who I am.
Right.
Yeah, just like they do you as well.
Yeah.
What are you curious about?
I am most curious about humans. I
Mm,
love the human spirit. I love the experience of being human, and yet I hate the experience of being human. And I know hate is a really strong word,
mm,
but it's one of those things. I'm a spiritual geek, as I would describe myself, meaning I am fascinated about everything and nothing, like the things I don't know about, like alien life forms, and the world's a much bigger place than this one planet, and all these things. And then it's like, what makes people think and do some of the things that they do? What inspires us, or what makes us act like stupid idiots, or default into some of the worst case scenarios when nothing has happened? And why do we put anyways, I'm the why kid. I was always the why kid. And if I didn't understand why I was asked to do something, I had a tendency to rebel against it, because I'm
yeah.
like, it doesn't make sense to me. Why are you asking me to do? Give me a concrete reason besides because I told you so, you know?
Interesting. So school might have been a little tough in some ways because, it's kind of an assembly line situation, in a lot of ways.
School
Did
was
you
really tough.
rebel that way a little bit in school, or?
Oh, there's many stories, Brian. Where do I
Okay.
start? Yes,
The juicy
yes.
ones. Yeah.
I actually grew up in a religious school. My parents raised my brother and I in a very religious evangelical home, and went to a Christian school all from the time I was 4 years old until I was 18. So I had that bit of structure, and I'm going to say this maybe offensively, but there's a lot of brainwashing in my mind that happened, because it didn't lend itself to a lot of curiosity, unfortunately. And it was basically very militant about, this is what you believe, and this is how you do it, and all this sort of thing. And it just didn't make sense. It didn't resonate as truth. So you know one of the things that I believe and I'm really passionate about is our sixth sense, our intuition. And in school and human beings, talking about what I'm curious about the human nature, is that we're always tuned into these five senses. Can I taste it, touch it, feel it, hear it, see it, right? But
Yeah.
we very rarely realize, especially as young children, that we have that sixth sense that says, something's off. My gut instinct, my body is telling me that something's not happening right, or that something really is right, and I need to explore that a little bit. And so, as an adult, when I hit my early 20s, I really started tuning into that sixth sense and then honing it as a skill and making a profession out of it.
Mm.
And so for me, using that through, now I'm gonna circle back to my childhood into when I was a kid, I had imaginary friends, I would make potions, um, I would pretend I was a good witch. I mean, all these things which were not acceptable in a Christian environment.
You were
So
lucky you were born in the 1600s too, because you.
absolutely, you know, but it helped shape who I am today. And there's a story that I won't talk about too deeply right now, but I was a little rebel in high school and was asked to leave the school that I was in and switched to another school because I wouldn't play by their rules.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a interesting time. And I've been working with that a lot throughout my life where when something feels too constrictive, I have a tendency to push that, as you said, the envelope, but I'm busting through that wall. I'm like, nope, that doesn't work for me. I'm out of here.
I probably do it a little bit more of a diplomatic way, but there is no right or wrong. It's just what works for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
helped me pioneer having my own business and being able to work with others and giving, like wanting to give people permission to bust out of their comfort zone, to be their best self. That's the same thing for me is being able to be a presence with someone. So really holding the space or tending the field, however you want to look at it, and
Yeah.
allowing that person, giving that person permission to break down, to be angry. I can't tell you how many people are like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just angry. I'm like, you're good. You're not hurting my feelings. I'm not taking it personally. Please, this is a safe space. Vent if that's what you need,
Yeah.
things like that. So
Yeah. Why? What are some of the reasons people do? I mean, I have my own thought and theory about this, but like do stupid things, crazy things. Um,
what's
things that not. Go ahead.
what's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think ultimately we're here to. I think one of the toughest things for us as humans to do is to learn how to love and accept ourselves. And so, folks, and I've gone through it myself, that aren't feeling enough about themselves, finding that inner strength, that inner love and acceptance, they look outside of themselves in all kinds of different ways to bring validation. And, it can be poor relationships. It can be, retail therapy. It can be drugs and alcohol. It can be a lot of stuff that keeps us off our true path. And lots of crazy crap can happen when you're doing that stuff while you're wasting time and your energy and just searching, and it is something we all do, and we all um find out the hard way in our own little way potentially, and hopefully we all kind of get steered in the correct direction to get it coming from within ourselves. But that's just, I don't know, that's my 2 cent
I think it's
opinion.
brilliant. See, this is what fascinates me is that we all are unique expressions of this one voice. And so the
Right.
way you expressed this thought is your unique expression, which is absolutely perfect and brilliant for you. And for me, and I resonate with a lot of what you said, but
Yeah.
it leads me back to that whole I'm so curious about humans, meaning self-awareness. The more self-aware we are, the more we can love and accept ourselves.
Yes.
And integrating instead of orphaning those shadow sides too, right? And that's part of that love and acceptance. And I believe that we do a lot of stupid stuff in our life, one, because we're not conscious about it, we don't know what we don't know. So sometimes you just react or you just do things and you go, oh, lesson learned. Or hurting people hurt people.
Yeah.
And very often, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and we were going out with some friends, and looked at me and said, hey, don't take it personally if so and so is a little cold or isn't very conversational and all that. And I just looked at them and I said, I don't take things personally. I said, I used to. I said, but I've learned over time that when someone is behaving and sharing something or not sharing something, they're just showing me what's happening inside of them. It isn't about me. If I did something to them that caused that, then that's obviously something I need to work through with them. But
Right.
if it's just you meet somebody and they just do whatever they do, okay, you're just showing me who you are. Thank you.
You're
That's
where
kind of
you're
how
at
I
in your
see it.
growth process. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe everything's a teacher. Everyone's a teacher. I have this strange belief too that I say strange, but my belief system is that every single person and every single event that I experience during a day is something that I have opened myself to receive. It doesn't mean I necessarily drew it to me, but it's part of my human experience, and so it becomes my teacher, and it becomes meaningful.
I like it. I agree.
Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, what gets you fired up these days?
Oh my gosh. Well, ultimately, I love to create positive content in all kinds of different ways. So whenever I get an idea about something or some thought in my head that needs to be explored that turns into a book or a spoken word piece or what have you, that fires me up. And being able to ultimately share it, fires me up. And yeah, and just collaboration. This is fun. This is exciting for me, working with you, because we've had a lot of fun in the past, and we have some really solid, cool ideas about this recess the podcast and the exploration of that, and just the building of a really cool project that I can see branching off into all kinds of neat things, that enables us to be creative and share and
Yeah,
help others, as we're learning and growing ourselves.
I love it. Because for me, I think human beings, from what I've studied and experienced and worked with, is that we need anticipation, we need inspiration, we
Hope.
need, yeah, we need hope,
Yeah.
and having something to look forward to, or to be able, like for me. So I live in Nevada, and I grew up on the East Coast, moved out west 4 years ago, well, 2019, and see my math. Anyways, 4.5 years ago. Um, but one of the things that I love is waking up every morning and going outside and seeing 360 degrees of mountains. It inspires me, especially if I can get out before first light, just as the sun is coming up.
Yeah.
And or I can go to Lake Tahoe, or I can, just go for a walk in the woods or whatever, finding something that just inspires me. And it allows me to kind of set my day. And I notice that I can get really boring and depressed and all that when I'm not inspired by anything, when I don't have that curiosity and that collaboration or that hope.
All in the same way. I'm pretty routine oriented, and my mornings, boy, are really important to me. Just movement, whether it's a walk or go to the gym. Just as we get older, got to get
Oh, let's
that
not talk about the age
kind
thing. I don't have enough
right.
fingers on that.
I know, I got to stretch now and do arm band exercises and whatever. But I do that in the morning, as well as kind of like meditate a little and maybe watch a little YouTube video that is on history or has some inspiring stuff, and that just kind of sets me up for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for success for the day. And if I don't get that movement, I don't know, there's a little bit of anxiety running through me. You know what I mean? It helps kind of just calm me down and just get focused.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, this radical acceptance of you're going to have moments where, at least for me, where I ride that roller coaster. Sorry, hit my microphone. Where I ride that roller coaster, and one minute or one day it's like, oh, I'm so inspired, I got all this energy, and yay, and the next day it's like, meh, I don't know. And then I can't really force myself to get inspired, but I can do actions that help move the energy a little bit. And I've just gotten to the place of going, it's just one of those days, I'm being moody, so what?
Yeah, no, it really is. And in the past, if it's an extended period of time, then you start to kind of worry and wonder, like, how do I work myself out of this? Or how do I, what am I doing wrong? Sometimes there's some reasons maybe, but ultimately I think, like you say, the energies flow and change. And it's a time to be patient and just trust, hopefully, that things are working on our behalf behind the scenes. But the most important thing, I believe, and what you touched on, is to have that routine, even when you're feeling funky, because it makes those funky times a little smoother. And it just allows you to be more prepared to deal with it and whatever comes your way. And so for me, it's, there's a lot of things that I do to help myself stay in balance. And it really does make a difference, no matter where I am on the roller coaster ride.
Absolutely. Well, that's part of what this podcast is all about, is that people, if you get stuck in something, that you get a moment to take a break and just, like I say, be entertained, hopefully, and learn something, or just go, hey, I'm not alone. These two people, yahoos or talking heads, are sitting here going, yeah, they get moody and whatever,
I don't. I'm perfect.
Oh, you are? Oh, can I have some whatever you're drinking today?
Sure,
Because
I'm selling it in jars. It's
smells like bullshit. I
bottled
got
in
it.
$1,000 a bottle.
Excellent. Yeah, I can promise you right now, we'll be selling that one on the streets.
Yeah, in a past life I used to be a snake oil salesman.
Oh, right. I
Sold
knew I knew
tonic,
you from
cat foot
somewhere.
board. I know.
It was all those potions I was mixing as a kid. I was actually going to sell them to you or bring them to
Yeah.
you to sell for me.
Uh, Traveled the old west. Just, this will cure all your ailments.
Yeah. You said you like history. Why?
I don't know. I just do. I love, especially, I like to learn about wherever I live, but I mean, I really love American history and just diving in and visiting places where things happened and tapping into the energy, kind of like trying to imagine what it might have been like living in a particular place or where an event happened. And, I've even collected artifacts and found stuff at places, and just, I don't know, it just brings me closer. I don't know if it's a past life thing or what have you, but just fascinates me. And just, I don't know, just keeps me jazzed.
It's funny because I was just thinking about the whole past life, and I mentioned that, our past life kind of thing. But one thing we have in common too is we both love Virginia City, which happens to only be right up the road from me. And this coming weekend is Labor Day weekend, and they are doing a Civil War reenactment weekend.
Oh,
so they're having
sweet.
events all weekend, that they have dances and they have shows and all kinds of stuff. So
Wow.
I know, but anyways, but so I love history too, but I love
But
ancient history and past life. So anybody listening who may not believe, air quote, in past life, that's okay. I can tell you though, it's very entertaining. And one of my very first modalities that I learned when I was studying with my spiritual teacher back in my 20s was past life regression. It was so
oh,
cool. And I remember asking her, I said, what if, I'm just making this up? And she said, the first tool in any shaman's toolkit is your imagination. So what if you are? And if it works, if it helps, if it heals, if it unlocks something, what can go wrong?
they're
So
entertaining. Yeah.
there you go. So that'll be a fun subject to explore one of these days.
Absolutely. And and I used to live in Reno too before you did,
Yeah.
about
Many
12 years
moons
ago. And
ago.
I would go to Virginia City almost every other weekend. It was just so much fun. And now I'm in Arizona, just outside of Sedona, and there's an old town, ghost town, not ghost town, kind of, but old mining town called Jerome. And it reminds me a lot of Virginia City. There's a lot of old dilapidated buildings, but some of them have been kind of like shored up a little bit. And there's some galleries now and restaurants. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just for me, and that both of them do their ghost tours and stuff, and I don't, that entertains me, and it's not that I don't disbelieve, I do. I don't maybe necessarily feel the energies like some people do, but it's fascinating just to kind of immerse yourself.
Well, here's another topic that we can explore in another episode is ghosts and ghost hunting and things, because Virginia City, and I'm sure Jerome as well, has their famous ghost. And I've actually done a little bit of I did one of the ghost tours 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, something like that, with some girlfriends in Comstock at the Comstock mine.
Oh,
And yeah, yeah, and they brought in the paranormal and all that. It was let's just say I'm an open-minded skeptic.
interesting.
Yeah. And these are things that I do believe in. I mean, I can just
Yeah,
tell you that,
yeah,
I think there is energy. I think everything is energy. That's my belief system. So we can
yeah,
leave impressions and things like that.
yeah, yeah. Gosh. I know we're kind of getting close here, maybe to the finish of this first one, but who are some people that influenced you? Do you have any heroes from, your life experience so far?
Yeah, great question. So, a hero that I studied, and we happen to have the same birthday, was Helen Keller. So obviously I've never met her, but she is one of my inspirations and someone that I used to, I would write stories about her. I read everything I could about her. And yeah, just the resilience, but also I think I related to the rebelliousness in her until she found the teacher in Annie Sullivan that she could truly trust. And that Annie also met Helen exactly where she was, a blind deaf girl who mute, but I mean, she basically just accepted her exactly who she was and said, instead of me trying to make you into somebody you're not, let me figure out what you're really good at and bring the best out of you. And that is a theme that has run through me all my life. And so I've also been very lucky to draw a lot of really powerful teachers in my life. And I would say, it's hard to pinpoint one that necessarily stands out over the other because they've cycled through depending on what area or level of my life I've been in.
Sure.
Um, and I would say my kids are probably, I have two adult children. They're probably some of my greatest heroes as well. And yeah, they inspire me every day. What about you?
Oh, I think just like, yourself, as we're learning and growing throughout our lives, you meet somebody who just might kind of like give you a little bump here or there, or say something, or believe in you. And I've had multiple people. There was a gentleman right when I first moved to Nevada, and kind of after I left my family business in 2009, and kind of accidentally wrote my first book. I was terrified to public speak, and so I signed up for a couple community college speech class. And this gentleman named Joe Giampapa was the teacher, and he was just this lively man who also taught acting, and he did inspirational speaking, and it was kind of a perfect match. And he really just gave me a lot of kind words and kudos, and tell he really believed in me. And so I ended up taking some acting classes from him, and I had really no plans on acting. I just used it as a tool to overcome my fear of speaking. But I ended up kind of getting into it accidentally through a dream I had, which ended up becoming the basis for my short film Guitar Man. But Joe was great, and we still keep in touch. And he's just one example of probably many. And I don't know. I'm fascinated by different people in history. Like Teddy Roosevelt fascinates me. I read a lot of books about him, and he did a lot of good things in his time. And a lot of people will look back to a lot of the leaders and folks in history and say, they were crappy because they did this or whatever. Yes, but it's also called evolution as we move through. And the majority of people held certain themes or ideas about those times, but he was very instrumental in the national park system. I think he also fought monopolies in big business, at that time, and kind of helped break them up a little bit. So he's a very fascinating, and he had, when he was in the legislature in New York before he became president and such, his wife died during childbirth, and so he left New York, and his sister watched his child, and he went to North Dakota, and he became a cowboy for 2 years, and he was kind of an aristocratic family, and so it was just a complete 180 as he mourned, and that also kind of helped him develop his love for the outdoors. So I don't know, I find him very fascinating. So there's lots of different people, that I'll latch onto for a year and just dive. But my parents, my son, I have an adult child as well. So yeah.
Very cool. I love it. Well, one of the things that I'll use as a wrap up for this episode is to talk a little bit about what we do. And because we've talked a little bit of who we are. And, I am a intuitive and an astrologer and a coach, a life executive coach by trade. So that is what I do. And we'll put our shameless plugs into our write-ups, but you can always find me at jamiedon.com and YouTube channel and social media. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm a certified coach too. I primarily love to create, and I project coach. I've done a lot of projects on my own. I help people put theirs together. I'm going to start speaking some more. I've done a little bit of that. Gosh, more books in me, that are coming out sooner than later. And I've got another podcast too. It's called The Creative Spark. And it's a lot of fun, and the link will be in the show notes. But I just love to keep putting fun stuff out there and growing and learning, and just kind of spread my wings and throwing out little spider webs of goodness.
I love it. Yep, I love it. Well, and I have a podcast with my daughter, so that's it's called Far from the Tree with Jamie and Tatiana. So there's our little shameless plugs. We're allowed, Mr. Snake Oil. I'm just kidding.
Yes. Well, I've been called many things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Don't call me late for dinner.
Yeah, there's more to come, but I'm so appreciating everybody listening, taking a break, and hopefully they've got something that they can laugh about, learn about, and be entertained. Nothing else, but we've got more episodes. Yeah,
and like I said, this is going to be really an eclectic show. You don't know what you're going to be listening to each week, and so we just kind of want to broaden your horizons as our horizons are broadened, and chatting with cool people, and just having crazy interesting discussions.
Love it. Thanks for the time, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, see you next episode.
Thanks for joining Jamie and Brian on Recess, the podcast, the twice-weekly show of eclectic, inspired, and entertaining discussion. Be sure to subscribe as well as share with your friends and spread the good news. It's always appreciated. If you'd like to learn more about Jamie's intuitive coaching services and creative projects, please go to jamiedon.com. And if you'd like to learn more about Brian and his creative spark world and books, please go to gbrianbenson.com.